Alright, welcome. So today we have KUKULKAN, better known as KUKULKAN. He has been requested to do an updated build video for Season 3 for quite a while now, for a few months, safe to say, by a numerous amount of people, so we're finally here. So let's get into it. I will first cover Conquest, and then after that go into the build for Arena and other casual game modes. So starting with Conquest, it is pretty common to go into a starter item. Which one, it is totally up to you. Both are pretty good, and it's just kind of up to your own personal preference on which one you get. Vamp Shroud is going to allow you to sustain a lot more, so you can stay in lane, soak up more golden XP, as well as give you that nice plus 100 health, whereas the Soul Stone gives you the mana. But of course, with the passive, with the Soul Stone and the passive of KUKULKAN, this will allow you to do more damage and allow yourself to clear the mini waves a lot faster with Soul Stone. So for now, let's just go into either one. I'm just going to go ahead and pick up Vamp Shroud. Of course, either one is good. So besides a starter item, there are a few different ways you can actually go ahead and start your build for Conquest. For one, you can just go ahead and keep it simple. Go into your starter item of choice, go into your boost of choice, and just go on with the rest of your build. If you don't want to go into that and you want to find a way to kind of work in cooldown reduction early on in your build, there's a way to do that. You just go into your starter item of choice, go under power, go to the tier 1 item called Lost Artifact, go into your cooldown reduction boots, go back and finish this Lost Artifact into the Chronos Pendant. This way, within a couple of items, you already have a 30% cooldown reduction. The cap is 40%, so you have a lot within the first couple, items, and you can go ahead and benefit from this, so that way you have all your abilities up for all the team fights and whatnot. Or let's say you want to go ahead and try to get as much magical power as you can for your build, then there is a way to do that. So let's go ahead back up, sell the boots. So what you do is you go from this Lost Artifact, build it into the Doom Orb. Now for KUKULKAN specifically, this bonus mana that this item gives you will give you, of course, more magical power. But also as KUKULKAN, you have no good escapes. I mean, you have your 2 to increase your movement speed and kind of cleanse yourself of slows. That's your only real escape. But with this item, you can actually get a lot of magical power all from the stacks. So once you build up all 50 stacks, that is an additional 100 magical power on top of the 40 it already gives you, and of course on top of the 200 mana it gives you, which that mana of course will in turn give you more magical power. But if you do die with this item, you will lose half of your stacks, so it's a high risk, high reward. So you can go into that and then go into your pin boots. That would be a good way to get a lot of magical power very early on and try to get a good snowball going, so that way you can be ahead of your enemy team. Another start that you can go into the tier 1 item called Imperial Helmet, and you can either go into your boots, go back and finish this into the Dynasty Plate Helmet, or you can hold off on your boots and go straight from Imperial Helmet to Dynasty Plate Helmet. And since Dynasty Plate Helmet, as you can see here, it is super cheap, so it's really cost efficient for the early game. It gives you that nice magical power, not as much as Chronos Pendant and Doom Orb, but for what it lacks in magical power, it gives you that really strong plus 15 flat magical penetration. So if you go ahead and pair this up with the pin boots, you have a nice plus 25 penetration, which is really good for the early game, and you do a lot of damage. Of course, it also offers you the plus 30 physical protection. So let's say if the enemy jungler is physical and they're really aggressive, and of course KUKULKAN, he has no real good escapes. So this way you can ensure that you're somewhat tanky and you won't be ganked and killed as easily as you would, let's say, if you went into like Doom Orb or anything else. And for the last way to start your build for Conquest, you can go into the tier 2 item called Golden Sash. Now it does cost $13.50, so you won't be building a starter item beforehand or afterhand. You just go directly into this item, and you'll still have enough gold left over for some potions. Now from here, you just go ahead and build this directly into the Warlock Sash for a couple reasons. For one, it gives you a decent amount of mana, so you will get a good amount of magical power from the single item. It gives you a lot of health. So for KUKULKAN, he has no good escapes, so this way if you do get ganked, you won't get blown up as easily. But for now, let's go to something really simple. Let's go back and sell this item and go ahead to our starter item of choice. Let's just go into Vamp Shroud. From here, I'm just going to go into more of a very high magical power build for this example real quickly here. I'm going to go into the Shoes of Magi. From here, I feel like these are the core items for KUKULKAN. Again, boots of your choice, cooldown, or pin boots, doesn't really matter. Up to your own personal preference, but I'm just going to go to Shoes of Magi. Book of Thoth, again, we kind of want to work off of KUKULKAN's passive since it is really mana based. as well as his abilities cost quite a bit of mana, so it definitely helps getting a lot of mana going. Of course, Book of Thoth offers a ton of mana, even the stacks give you mana, so with all that being said, this item will just give you a lot of magical power, so we're just going to go into that. Next, penetration. So you can build into penetration after the Book of Thoth, or you can go into cooldown reduction like the Chronos Pennant, really up to you. But for now, I'm just going to go to penetration. Now, which penetration item, it is totally up to you. Both Spear of the Magus and Obsidian Shard work pretty well with KUKULKAN. Of course, with KUKULKAN's third ability, Whirlwind, he can easily apply the stacks of Spear of the Magus. However, it does have, with Spear of the Magus, it's seen as it has a little bit of a ramp up time to get the full benefit from it. Whereas Obsidian Shard, not only does it give you more magical power and it's a little bit cheaper, but it also has a, plus a 33% magical penetration, where there's no ramp up time, you don't have to build up stacks to get the full benefit. It works really well in a burst situation, so which one, it is totally up to you. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and go with Obsidian Shard. Now from here, you want to go ahead and try to wrap up your build to get as much magical power as you can for the end game. So we can go ahead and just go into the Rod Tahuti. And then from here, we can go into a couple of other damaging items. You can go into something like Soul Reaver, which works really well with Book of Thoth. Again, gives you a lot of mana, so that helps feed the Book of Thoth passive, as well as helps feed your passive. And again, the passive will allow you to do a lot more burst damage, so you can go into that if you want to. Another really good damaging item is Polynomicon. Again, it gives you even more mana, so if you pair this up with Book of Thoth, again, same thing, it will feed the Book of Thoth's passive, as well as yours. As well as Polynomicon's passive, it works really, really well with gods that can build a lot of magical power, and KUKULKAN is certainly with that. With KUKULKAN's passive, he can end up with so much magic power, like 800, 900 magic power, and therefore the Poly passive will hit so hard like an extra ability. So in this case, we can just go ahead and sell our starter item and go ahead and pick up Polynomicon. Another good item that you might consider putting in your build somewhere is the Gem of Isolation. It works pretty well for the same reason why you might pick up the Spear of the Magus. So again, with KUKULKAN's third ability, it applies a damage over time effect, meaning it can easily refresh the timer of the slow from Gem of Isolation. And again, it gives you more mana, so you can help feed your own passive, and again, with Book of Thoth, and it gives you health, so you can be a little bit more tankier when you go ahead and, somebody tries to gank you, and you can go ahead and survive a little bit longer. And in the case if you want to go ahead and pick up some actual defense, like let's say you're getting focused a lot by physical gods, then you might consider go ahead and try building your Breastplate of Valor somewhere in your build. It offers a lot of physical protection. It also offers a lot of mana, so it's a protection item that also gives you ideally power. And again, cooldown reduction. So be careful with the cooldown reduction. You don't want to overcap. So the cap is 40%. So you can build this with your cooldown reduction boots, or you can build this with the Chronos Pennant and then have your pen boots. And that way you can have 40% cooldown reduction, and you can have your power from your pen boots. And finally, before I forget, let's go ahead and do a really quick arena build. Now, personally, for arena, I still go ahead and pick up Book of Thoth for KUKULKAN. Even though you might not get as much stacks or as quickly as you would compared to Conquest, I still feel like it's a really strong power item overall, especially for KUKULKAN, right? It still gives you a lot of mana and tons of magical power for at a pretty decent price. So my build might look like this, might just go into boots. Again, boots, it's kind of a personal preference, but for now, let's go into the Shoes of Magi. You can go to Book of Thoth. Since it is arena, or maybe Clash, a game mode where you're constantly fighting, in that case, cooldown reduction is very valuable. So after Book of Thoth, you can go to a cooldown reduction item like Chronos Pennant. In case of a cooldown reduction build, I'd probably go into the cooldown reduction boots and then the Chronos Pennant. That way you can have a nice 30%. You have your Book of Thoth. Then from here, you just go ahead and go to your penetration item of choice. For now, I'm just going to Obsidian Shard. And then you want to go ahead and finish the build off with really strong power items, especially Rod Tahuti. And for your last item, you can go ahead and pick up whatever you want. Maybe Soul Reaver, maybe that's your thing, maybe Gem of Isolation, Polynomicon, whatever. I'm just going to end it with Polynomicon. And yeah, hopefully that was helpful for those of you that are new to Smite, or maybe just new to KUKULKAN. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.